Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought we'd do a full face of my Project Pan items just because in the past I did it, I think last year, but I haven't done it for a very long time. So I thought I would show you the products in action instead of just sitting down and talking about them. I did do an update a couple weeks ago, but this just adds to using it as well. So I thought we'd give it a go. So without further ado, let's jump straight in. Naturally, starting off with primer, the first one I have is the Passion Pro Partner in Prime Dewy Pore Minimizing Face Primer with Hyaluronic Acid. As you know, longest name ever. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see on camera, but I've marked it off here, and now looking at in the light, it's down to about there. So we've already made some progress, and I'm really happy about that. I take quite a liberal amount because I use it as like a second moisturizer. My skin has been quite dry lately, and I think it's because I've been doing a lot of like makeup videos where I have to add and remove makeup multiple times. So I just use this as like something nice and moisturizing. It's not part of the Project Pan, but I do have this lip oil. It's called Lip Therapy. It's Diskem's brand, and it's got jojoba oil in it. So I'm just going to add it on my lips because they've also been super dry. I think it's the change of season, but it's been horrible. Like my lips are basically cracking. Then, as you know, I do have a second primer in. I just really like double priming. I have no idea why, but it's been like a recent thing, and I've been doing it almost every time I do my makeup. So I have the Essence Fix and Last Makeup Jelly Primer with supposed to be hydrating and refreshing. I have basically nothing left, so I'm having to get some out on the back, and then I know this is not hygienic, but only I use it. So this I just pat in the center of the face, and what's left I push out to the outskirt. Next, moving on to foundation, I have the Collection Seeker foundation, and it is infused with anti-inflammatory Centinella Asiatica for anti-redness and antioxidants. So it's got a satin finish, it's really gorgeous. And the shade I have is Toffee 12. So it's got a squeezy tube, so I add like a pea size amount, which is actually a lot as well. Sorry my brush is dirty, but I've been using this for my foundation quite often, and then I just dab it out on my hand and go onto the face. I find that this gives a nice diffused look and doesn't make the product look too cakey. So I've been really loving this method since I did that Tati Beauty video. If you haven't seen that one, I will link it up in the cards. It's really long, but I learned some valuable tips in that, and I'm always for learning more about makeup. I do take it quite close to my under eyes these days, just so that I don't have to use as much concealer, because it is concealer that actually creases on me. Next, to move on to cream contour, and this is the LA Girl Velvet Bronzer Contour Stick. It's not contour at all. This is going really much faster than I thought it would, and I just take a dense angled brush and pick it up like this. I used to swipe it on the face, but it's such a dry formula that I feel like it's better to use it like this, and then just pop that. And I always stipple, I don't swipe, and it blends itself out basically, but just in the usual spot. And I think because it's such a dry formula as well, that it's going much faster than I thought. I think if it was much more emollient, it would have taken a lot longer, like the one I used last year from Primark, the PS My Perfect Color contour stick, or contour and foundation stick in Chai, which everybody uses, and I think that's the only shade that anybody has access to. I love that, but again, the product was just not moving, even though I was using it every day. So this one's going a lot faster than I expected, but I think it's because it's not as emollient. Next, moving along to this cream blush from Scarlet Hill, which is Mr. Price's brand, and it is the cream blush stick. I guess it's called Cheeky, for a dewy, natural looking flush. And I have the shade Raspberry. This is not a part of my Project Pan, but I do like to add it underneath the blush because as you know, I don't really like the blush. I think it's not very pigmented, so I just add on a like small fluffy brush. I like to add this to the cheeks now, just to help that blush along, powder blush at least, and just a light touch like this, because as much as I want to finish that blush, I just find it's not pigmented like I like my blushes, but at the same time it's also not moving anywhere. Then I move on to concealer, and as you know, I'm using as you may know, I'm using the Smudge Perfecting Concealer in the shade Soft Beige, and the color is almost similar to my foundation, but I really do like the texture. And then just grabbing my sponge, I'm just going to blend it out just to get a more diffused look. I like to add the concealer now just in case I overdo the blush or the bronzer, and then I can just even it all out. And that is all for the cream product. So next we'll move into powder product. Firstly, I don't have a translucent loose powder in my project pan this year, so I'm using this e.l.f. HD powder to set under my eyes. I just prefer the way it looks, otherwise it can cause a bit of discoloration, and nothing worse than having really dark under eyes. So I just use it on a powder puff, pat out, use my sponge, pat out these creases, and then go in with the powder. The concealer is not full coverage either, so you can still see a dark line, but it's not as bad as without the concealer. Then I also like to just take a little bit and take it down the center of the nose, and I like kind of bake there just to lighten it up a little bit and reinforce the contour. Now moving on to the product that I probably will finish right here today, and this is it's broken like I said, but it's the Mode Elite Compact Powder. It's broken, but there's like barely anything left, so I just usually take my spoolie and I just loosen what's around the edges, and I think we'll be able to finish this today. So what I do is I just loosen it up with the spoolie like that. I'm not sure if you can see, and then I go ahead and take my powder brush, dip into that, tap it off obviously, and then go ahead and set the face, and I just tap that in and then just take it over where I baked the nose as well. And that's it, guys. So this isn't even an update, but we've completely finished this. There's not even a drop left. So really happy with that. And obviously you'll see in my updates in a couple of weeks what I roll in. But for now, I'm really happy that I finally finished this, and I'm so proud. Next, moving on to the powder bronzer, and I have the Essence Contouring Duo, and mine is in 20 Darker Skin. Like I said, I'm getting very tired of this, and I'm actually really thinking of rolling it out next month, but I'm going to go in with this shade over here. This one's way too dark and way too muddy on my skin, especially if you haven't fully set your face properly. It just sticks to everything and goes a bit patchy. So I'm going to use this one, and just on a what is this, Eco Tools powder brush, and I'm just going to run that in the same place we put the cream bronzer. I take it slightly over the blush as well, because I find that just blends a little bit more seamlessly. Can you see how, like, I'm not sure if you can see it on camera, but this is also like pretty patchy even though I properly set my face. And then I really like this brush because it's like tapered at the top, and I can just dip the tip in. That sounded so wrong, but yeah, dip the tip of the brush in, and then just contour the sides of my nose with powder as well, just to reinforce. Next, I go in with highlighter, and this is the Ofra Rodeo Drive Mini. I did get this in a mystery box from Beauty Bay, so I'm trying to make the best of the situation, put it that way. But this is going really slow. As you know, in my updates, there's like barely a dent in it, and this is why. I did one little swirl, and look at that. I wasn't sure if it was casting, but somehow I think it kind of is. I'm not 100% sure, but when I look in the mirror, I can still see a slight cast on the side. Not 100% sure, could be wrong, but that's kind of what it's looking like in the mirror. Finally, the blush, which I absolutely despise. It's the Essence, the blush in 30 Breathtaking, and a big fluffy blush brush. My brushes are kind of dirty because I use this makeup specifically quite often because it's in my everyday drawer. So if I'm doing everyday makeup or getting ready for like something trivial like going to the shops or going for breakfast with my sister, I usually dip into this, and I keep the brushes that I use in there. So when I wash my brushes once a week, I'll just bring everything out and wash them. But during the week, I just keep using them for these specific products, and I don't cross-contaminate. But anyway, as you can see, I have to like pick up quite a bit. And then it is pigmented enough for my taste anyway. Yeah, and then I'm going to go ahead and just quickly set my face. I don't have a specific product. I went in my mouth. I don't have a specific product for setting spray, so I just kind of use what's on my desk. Give that a sec to dry down, and then we will move on to the eyes. I just zoomed you guys in to start the eyes, and for my eyeshadow primer, I use this Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define concealer in the shade C10, and like I've mentioned, this is almost empty. I've been using it as an eyeshadow primer because it is really dry and it has a weird pinky undertone, which is not my fave. So I just pop it on like that. I think it's a bit much, but anyway, I'm going to blend it out with a sponge. And now, usually I'll do my eyes first, but because I wanted to do it in this order, you have to be quite careful about where you place it, because you don't want it to be disrupted by the powder you've added. For eyeshadow, the palette, we have this Collection Eyes Uncovered palette, and then I also have the MAC Single Shadow in Corduroy. They don't make this shade anymore, but there's one similar called Wedge if you are interested. But I'm going to go in with a big fluffy brush and go into this shade that I use the most anyway, and I'm going to kind of set my lid. So take it all over the lid. I would usually use the bone color, but I have other plans today. So I'm just taking it all over the lid. As you can see, it adds like a color, but it's so close to my skin color that it almost doesn't matter. This is my second makeup look I'm doing today, so I think that's still like some mascara on my eye, because I don't know why, but it just wouldn't come off today, but we're going to ignore. The crease shade I usually use is this one, the MAC one. Like I said, Single Shadow in Corduroy, and I pick it up on like a very fluffy but tapered brush. See, if you tap too much off, it just literally disappears. But anyway, I'm going to pop this in my crease and in the outer corner. So that's why I like the tapered brush. So it fits nicely in my eye, even though I have hooded eyes. I also just got some in my contact lens so I can barely see. And as you can see, it looks really nice and diffused. See, again, tapered brush. It fits perfectly under my eye as well and diffuses the product so nicely. Then I'm going to go ahead and do the same on the other eye. Next, I'm going to take a small little flat detailer brush, and I'm going to dip into this dark brown. That I'm going to tap mostly off because I don't want it too dark. And then just going to place this on basically my outer V. Well, I'm going to make one because I don't really have one. And then just taking the brush again that I used the MAC shadow on and just further blend that together. Then just taking another flat fluffy brush. I love my flat brushes recently. And I'm going to dip into the shade over here. It's actually called Bear, and it has a nice little dip in it, and it is one of my focal shades this month. So I'm going to take that and I'm just going to pop it in the inner part of my eye, or the rest of the lid even, and blend it into the colors on the outer corner like that. And I'm just patting it on just so I can get a nice little even coat of it, just like that. And then just grabbing a small flat brush, if I can find one, just a little, like, I don't even know what they are. It's like a flat brush that you put shimmers on. And then I'm going to take this, a very white shade over here. It has a little bit of shimmer through it. And I'm going to pop that on my inner corner, but blend it up into the previous shade. Next, I'm just gonna jump off camera and do mascara and lip liner because I don't have those in my project pan, and then I will show you the lipstick and the finished look. And then lastly, we have the lips. Don't mind my crinkles here from my clips, I don't mind it, so I hope you don't either. But lastly, we have the lipstick, which is the Urban Decay Vice lipsticks in the shade 1993. I need a lip brush, and I just use a lip brush for this, and I pick some up. I am wearing a fairly warm lip liner, and this is fairly cool toned, so I just like to pop it in the center like that, just to add a little bit of color. So this is the finished look. And that is it. It's like this is kind of like what I do on an everyday basis. The eye look, everything. Like this is the way I use my project pan most of the time. I mean, it's pretty boring on the eyes, but it still looks really refined. So I don't know, I think it looks really nice, and I've been addicted to doing like the all matte eye look recently. Like sometimes I'll just throw a shimmer in there, but a lot of the times I will do it like this, and I really like it, and I feel like it's everyday appropriate, nothing over the top, nothing too flashy or full beat. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and enjoyed seeing my project pan items in action, and yeah, I'll see you guys all in the next one. Bye guys.